Hey, 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 Cindy Gould here, and welcome back to Create Your Victorious Life, and welcome to the Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on your respective app stores, whether it's iOS or Android devices, whichever works for you. And while you're downloading, please remember to leave us an amazing rating and a comment. That app is totally free, which is one of our favorite words, isn't it? And Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire Sticks, and Amazon Fire Roku sticks, and all smart TVs, not the dumb ones from 2016 going forward. I said that all fast on purpose because I'm so excited to welcome my precious, precious friend, Michael Cole from Empower Performance Strategies. I love that he is here today with me. He and his wife are they're like family to me. And so hanging out with him today is going to be the bomb. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about him. The reason I know Michael is that we both are neuroencoding in the Neuroencoding Institute. He is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist trained to motivate in the neuroscience proven processes of training the brain to default to your very best choices. Now, what's cool is fast forward beyond being like a landscape architect guru with this amazing company and all this other stuff he's got going on. He has chosen to channel and funnel all of that into a very special niche that's precious to both of us. And that we get to talk about today. And something that I do get to celebrate with him today is the fact that his podcast, Your Thoughts, Your Reality, has been how long, Michael, have you had it?
Since March.
Since March. We have how many episodes already?
85 or 86.
And then downloads were at what, 40,000, 30,000? What are we?
We're coming up on 40,000 by the weekend.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. And the reason why I believe that he is so wildly successful with his podcast already is that he really has a heart to love and he magnetizes that back. And so without further ado, welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me on, Cindy. I mean, your light shines in this world like nothing else. And I want to say something really quick. Who was my very first podcast? The amazing Cindy Gould. So, yeah. So absolutely honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was such a privilege. I was so honored when you asked me. I was like, oh, really? Okay. I would be so let's talk a little bit before we even jump into the podcast, because your story is so compelling. And at this time of year, I think it's really helpful for people to hear, how people get through and grow through the things that get them to all these wonderful things in their life, the blessings that you have. And so what have you done and how have you created such amazing victory in your life?
Thank you, number one, for saying that. Let's go back, shall we? Shall we go back like, I don't know, 50 years?
Okay.
How long is that show, Cindy?
Yeah.
I play. So literally, there are so many things. Okay, let's go dark just for a minute, so we can really understand where it's come from and where it is now. I never met my father. He was a military veteran. This is going to tie in the end of why I do what I do now. He 3 tours in Vietnam. I never met him. He joined the military just as my mother was pregnant with me, of course. And so I went through my life not really knowing the story until literally after he passed. And it's an Oprah Winfrey story, and we'll get into that as well, of course. So I went through that not knowing, right? And my mom filled my life with love and joy. And I did not feel like, oh, I'm missing something, right? So I went through, and my family, and we had another veteran that came into our life that was my other sister's father that came back, and he struggled with a lot of the things these same veterans do, and the same patterns, right? The stories are different, the patterns are the same, and I really study patterns, and so he came into our lives and literally broke our family apart. And I know I won't go real dark but there was domestic violence. There were violence with the children. There was drugs, alcohol, all these things, right? So let's fast forward a little bit. My mom, at some point, had enough. She created leverage for herself.
Mm,
It's a beautiful thing that I'm all about. She took an action.
good for her.
She made a true decision, not
Mm,
just a decision, and moved on and started her life over again.
wow.
So I learned a very valuable lesson young. And from there, I went through my own struggles. I dropped out of high school before the first semester. I started drugs and drinking and got it when made my own choices. Now understand this, I don't blame anybody else but my own choices, and that's another
Right.
big difference. And why I am where I am now and who I am even more so. And I'm very proud of that. So I dropped out. I just took my GED and passed it. I didn't even know you're supposed to take classes, which is, really cool.
Pretty.
Yeah. Oh, still pisses off my sisters. So I didn't know. I found out later on we're supposed to take classes, and the people I went down, they went and took classes. But regardless. So, I went through that, and of course, went through drugs, went through a failed marriage, went through all of those things. And until you create leverage for yourself, real change isn't going to happen.
Right.
And that's what you have to get to.
Mm,
So let's fast forward, shall we?
yes.
I've always had things in me. Okay, I've always been in management. I've always done those things, but never had the real. This is the reason. This is what I want. This is
Ah,
what I love. Okay. Then I met my wife Susan,
ha.
and literally, this woman showed me a different way.
Mm,
She elevated my life because I got around different people. Right? When you're in a group, you are
so
the
important.
people that you surround yourself with.
Yep.
So I surrounded myself with a different group of people, and my life changed. And I had to make a hard decision. I literally left Las Vegas and moved to California. Hardest decision I've ever made in my life.
Wow.
Best decision I ever made in my life. Best decision I ever made in my life. So somehow I talked Susan into following me here. And thank goodness I did, right? Because look at the woman I get to share my life with. So, I share all these things because I haven't shared all because we don't have 16 hours, my friend. So literally you go through these things in life that you think are the worst things ever. And I call it the winter of your life. But you have the seeds that you're planting for the spring. And then spring happens. And then what happens when spring? It's beautiful. The sun comes out. It's warm. Everybody's, happy. They may have allergies, but they figured that out too, right? So you get into that. Yeah, right. I know. We both have allergies for anybody listening. So we get into that part of our life of, oh, there's possibility.
Mm,
Things are opening. And you surround yourself with the right people. And possibilities are endless. So you keep doing that. And I share this because I want you to know I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what you've been through. Not in a sense that I don't literally, love and care about you. But look, I have had on my podcast Danny O'Neill, veteran, lost people in Iraq, lost more people from veteran suicide after he got back. And could he have went down that dark road? Absolutely, and he did for a while. But he found a spring. Tyler Bray, spina bifida.
mm,
He doesn't even know what level black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu he is now. So stop looking at and saying, but I'm too old, but I went through this.
right.
First of all, don't be the but. Can I say that? Don't be the but.
Don't be the butt and get your butt out of the way.
Absolutely. And stop saying I should. I should have, I should this, I should do that. So I'm going to go a little risky here with you. Don't be the butt that shoulds all over yourself. It is not a good look for anybody. It is not a good look.
God.
And my great friend, Tina Parker, veteran as well. We came up, this just happened on my podcast and it stuck because it's true. How many times are we the butts that's shitting all over ourselves?
Right.
So take an action.
Hmm.
Figure out a plan with SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Chunk them down if you need to.
Right.
Figure out what you want, create SMART goals, and take an action. Steer your ship 2 degrees to the right, 2 degrees to the left, because if you keep going forward, where are you at in 3, 5, 7, 10 years? Where's your family at? Where are the ones that you love in that amount of time? Where are they? Right there with you.
100%.
In the shooting.
That sounds like a TV series in the shitting.
Real life. Don't
Buddy Eric Stenlake was climbing on today. Don't be the butt that shits all over yourself. He's gloating. That's going to be tweetable.
What? It's mine and Tina's. Don't make bumper stickers and T-shirts. It's mine. It's ours.
Well, there's so many nuggets here that you dropped of just beautiful gold. And one of them is even going back to the very first portion of, hey, first of all, I always, as you do, I thank all the families of the service members for what they have experienced and endured and supported. Your father served 3 tours in Vietnam, and to the point where you didn't get to meet him. And my hallucination is for obvious, probably reasons, right? And so we look at that. I want to applaud your mama, because back then, right, making those kind of decisions and then like, what am I going to do now? And she could have easily, you just added that other husband to the pile of your, the abandonment and that she felt from your father and all that, right? And instead she's like, no, pivot, right? And like you said, even just making those little things and then, fast forward even to I laugh because I am a sister. And so I think it's hilarious that you didn't even take a class like Smarty Pants. But, I met this kid on the plane the other day, and he was ashamed to tell me that he was in college and did the GED thing. And I said, I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. You weren't being productive in school. He did. Essentially, he said he was he had to get out of the crowd. He just needed out of that environment. And then he GED'd himself and got into college. And now he's, working his way to be an RN. And I thought, and I applauded him, but he was almost ashamed sitting next to me on the plane telling me that story. And I'm like, oh, please. I think that's brilliant because he took action, right? And not everybody's story is going to be the same. What works for one person doesn't work for somebody else. And all of those roads led you to Susan. And then Susan, led you to where you, or joined you and came alongside with you, and to where you are now. So I look at all the beautiful things and the love, because you could have been angry and instead you turned that into passion. And it's so important, I think, with what you've done now with all the veteran pieces, because you were a product of it, right? So let's talk about that before we do. Eric says, don't be a should-head.
I love it. Now, Eric, that's yours. Use it.
You can have that. Put that on a t-shirt, buddy. Okay.
I love the great Stenlake. I mean, I say that and I just picture a magician.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
Great
Oh yeah,
Stenlake.
I can see that. That's so great. He and his Christmas ribbon candy. That's his fave. So yes.
Now I know.
Yes. Yes. Put that in your noggin there. So, okay. So tell me then, fast forward to this amazing passion that you have for veterans. what does that look like in your life now?
So with that, I need to go back just for a second.
By all
So
means.
I could have been angry, all those things, right?
Mhm.
I learned young and really put it into my life a little later is people are doing the best they can for who they are, where they are.
Yeah.
And that includes myself, right?
Okay.
So, and that has become a staple in my life and in my coaching because you can't get past things if you're sitting there holding them.
So good.
You can't get past things if you're sitting there holding them.
Yep.
My wife always says, it's like drinking the poison and expecting someone else to die,
Oh yeah, totally.
right? And
Yeah.
why keep drinking the poison? So free yourself first.
Mhm.
So how did I do that? By using that, and then my dad's family, my Aunt Shirley, Uncle Greg, and all of them, and we've been back to New York. And this is the Oprah Winfrey story, right?
Okay. I
They
love.
just accepted me into the
Mm.
whole family. And we've been to New York. We've been on a family reunion tour and the whole thing, And they've been here, and it filled a little hole in there that I didn't even know was there,
Yeah.
you know. And it did the same for them, which is absolutely fantastic. So I now know a lot more, obviously, about my father, and I've got thousands of pages of his records. I have his. Let me see if I do it right. I never do it right. His flag from
Oh,
his
that's
his
gorgeous. Oh,
funeral, his medals, all that fun stuff.
wow.
Yeah, and I cherish that, and it's why it's part of this, and that's why I had to talk about that just for a minute. So we sit there and we have all these emotions and things, but what if you could turn those into something good,
100%.
right? So that's what we're doing
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to see another son, daughter, husband, wife, father, mother, any of them
Right.
struggle with the things that people struggle with, those same patterns from military veterans coming back and struggling. And I'll tell you what, Cindy, and this is the holy wow moment. I have not talked to a veteran yet that did not have the struggles.
100%.
I've not.
How could you not have those struggles?
There's some struggles, right? And the
Mhm.
great thing is, PTSD, when you break down I have to use a clean word, the BS system, the bull crap system,
Yeah.
um, it it changes PTSD when you give those things a new meaning.
Right.
It releases it from continuing to rattle around and rattle around and rattle around because the trauma happens generally once and then it repeats and they don't release it. So when you give those things new meanings and knock out the chair, the table, the legs on the chair or table,
Yep.
and you knock out one is great, and you see a softening.
Yep.
When you knock out two, they start believing something else.
Yep.
And it's an amazing, beautiful thing. And this is why I do what I do.
Well, you know what? And what I love about what you're saying is that so true with you know this, when you change your story, you change your life. And Wayne Dyer said this, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah.
And what I think is so powerful too is we get to choose what meaning we give it. And the meaning we give literally is the life we live. And when we change that meaning, it's mind-blowing, isn't it? Like, and for instance, even the repetitive, like you said, the trauma happens one time. And all the reliving of it, the locking and loading it in your system, then you feel it in your nervous system. And then what happens is your mind is so jacked up and that because it's electric, this is magnetic, your heart's going to start beating those emotions that are around that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to magnetize back to you evidence that all that's true. For instance, for those folks who had a dad that wasn't around, right? Like, because like your father, you could have easily gone down the I'm not worthy, I'm worthless, I wasn't lovable, I was all that, and magnetized repetitive relationships to yourself that gave you the evidence of that. And then you had a mom that picked up and, did her
Yeah.
mom magic and, and made sure that you always felt amply loved. And I'm sure that, there were things in her that she had to get a hold of in order to do that, right? Because it's all such a bigger picture. I remember one of the things you said a minute ago with the PTSD. And so my father, as you know, because we've talked about this,
Sure.
and he was in Korea, and they were, well, December, what is today? December 7th? No, it's the 6th. So tomorrow's December 7th, which, I'm Hawaiian, so that's a big day in Hawaii. And my
Right.
father told me as a little boy with the blackout, like he remembers sitting in the closet eating a can of tuna, because with what was happening in Honolulu at the time. And, and then fast forward, like he's 17 years old or something, he's a kid in a foxhole next to one of his best friends, buddies that, they just happened to be together, in Korea. And he's literally, his friend gets blown up right there in his presence. And he's 17, and doesn't, you can't, there's no Google and YouTube to heal yourself. You know what I mean? There's like nothing, there's no frame of reference for that. And to hear my father talk about that, and then fast forward one time, he said he went around the side of the mountain, and they were all on this side, and he went around the side just to pee, I mean, and face to face with another young man that was, from the wrong side of Korea. And they both looked at each other and went to grab their weapons, and both of them, their eyes filled with tears. And my father said instantly he realized that's somebody's son, could be somebody's uncle, brother, father, whatever. And they both did what they were there to do, and they turned around and left.
Yeah.
They didn't, and I think about that with our, with all of our service people that are out there doing their thing to provide us the freedoms that you and I have so richly been blessed with, right? And that's something that I don't take for granted, because we come from the era where we got to do the parades and the, all the cool stuff, right? When 4th of July was this big spectacular thing that we got to celebrate. And so with all of the people that you've interviewed, you said, this was so profound to me, the stories are different, the patterns are the same.
Absolutely.
So what would you suggest, I would say, with some of the things that you've probably seen similar trigger point type patterns or other things, right? That come up. What kinds of things would you suggest? And by the way, we have some of our loved ones on here. I think that's Shar. We're 100% truth. And then, brilliant, change your story, change your life. And then JT, of course, don't be a should head. Non-action takers become drama llamas. And thank you, JT, for your service, because I know he was
Absolutely.
a Marine. Yes. So please take
So, one of the things I see pattern wise all the time it's every time. Okay. It is, you've done your service. I don't care if you've been in 2 years or 27 years.
right.
When you're getting out, and there's a tip that's going to go with this, of course, but when you're getting out, there's a honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
You're out. Woohoo! I'm back with family and loved ones, and it's amazing, and all these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like anybody that's, I'm not gonna use that analogy. Anybody that is away from family for a long time. I'm on Cindy's show.
Thank you.
You're away from family. You're on deployments. Whether you're active engagement or not. Whether you're in that or not. You come back, and as our amazing friend and mentor says, Wes Brown, life be lifing. And and this is for anybody, right? But we're talking about military, because this is my, military people, this is my passion. And it goes for first responders, and oh my gosh, the 911, people, and it goes across the board. They all deal with this stuff, and so when you come home, start your plan early, because the
Mhm.
honeymoon phase is a thing. I promise you,
Right.
it's a thing. And once that is over, life be life, right? And it's the job. It's re-engaging with your family because
Yeah.
everybody's changed. And this is one of the biggest parts for me. And I even got chills, so you
Me
know it's
too.
real.
Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. You have to learn to communicate because you've all grown. You've all changed one way or the other, right?
Hmm.
So really, as a family, hold space for the veteran, for that first responder coming home that night that you don't even know the day she
Right.
had.
Right.
Hold space. Really slow things down and spend time and re-engage, communicate, because it takes a minute from
Mhm.
what you went through to where you are now. And here's what I'm even going to go further is the battle ahead.
Yes.
And that support is one of the most important things everybody needs, the
Yep.
entire family,
Yep.
because they had their team over there. They had their team. And it is a shock when they come back to civilian life and they don't have someone on there all the time, or they don't know they do, even more importantly,
Mm.
unless you do that communication.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest things I wanted to share today is you just hold space for each other. How can I support you? What do you
Right.
need today? Is there
Right.
something you're going through you want to talk about? And little by little, those walls will start to come down
Mm.
when when everybody feels safe. And that's on both sides again.
Yep.
And that's when the most beautiful things start to happen.
Yep. I so appreciate what you're saying, and on both sides of that fence, it's like the wife, if it's a husband who was gone or vice versa, but whoever's at home was at home holding down the fort, staying up all night with the children when they're not well, taking them to all their things, plus going to work, plus, juggling all the stuff, and then watching the news voraciously to see if all is well, where you're at, and all of those pieces. And you don't know how bad you feel till you feel good. And
Mm,
what's challenging is you acclimate to feeling, thank you, to feeling bad. Like your nervous system just adjusts just a little bit, and you start to anticipate,
mhm,
which ball you have to swoop in and catch. And the same goes for your military, your first responder, because it's the same thing. Like I think about like what I shared about my father. How do you experience that and then go home and not have PTSD, or not have even guilt, fear, shame, anxiety, all the things, and then you've got a baby screaming and you've got this, and then you want to love on your spouse, and you're not even feeling like connecting yet, and all the things, right, that happen, because it's my understanding from a lot of the folks that I've talked with that come home from those types of experiences, in order to weather those, you disconnect parts of you, or
mm,
you shut down parts of you so that you can walk through it. So as you're coming home and you've got all these, oh my gosh, daddy's home, mommy's home, and everybody wants a piece of you, and rightfully so. There's so nothing wrong with that. And your wife is, or your mate, there's a part of them that's probably like, okay, let me take a break now. He's here, and there's your honeydew list from not from heaven, all the things that have been broken and duct taped and super glued and all this stuff, right? And I think about that, and the only thing that really matters is what you said, I believe, is holding space for each other to just breathe and
mhm,
to acclimate back to being a family. Um, and that's not I think it would be simple, depending upon what your issues are,
mm,
for people to um, almost feel rejected or
mm,
abandoned if there's not all this ooey gooey or all the things, right? All at
Yeah.
once, as opposed to recognizing that, hey, there were some real things that happened while we were apart in both our worlds. And now we get to relearn and remember our family, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that, and now it's the holidays, right? And that's tough for, I think, a lot of families too.
I think the holidays are tough for a lot of families, regardless of military, civilian,
Right.
it creates a lot of those anxieties and overwhelm and, oh, and I want to get into this as well is, I have to be around that sister and I have to do this and I have to do that.
Mm,
I think that not living in a world of gratefulness around you
right.
really, really, really changes the game. So I'm gonna ask people right now, get rid of I have to, I need to, and put one word in there. Get.
Yep. I get to.
I get to, because I promise you the walls drop, you have excitement then, and
Yep.
everything changes around the holidays. It
Yeah.
really does. Yeah.
Well, and it is a time of focus that people focus on specific things. And one of the things that has been historical with holidays is that phrase. And I did a post about it the other day, peace on earth,
Mm,
right? And in order to have that peace, you have to have it within. In order to create peace without, you have to create it and come from a space of having it within you. And so whatever that looks like, regardless. And I know you would probably mention this at the end, and please re-mention it if you have resources, but if you struggle at all in any of those areas of having peace, if you have a hard time catching your breath, if you have a hard time shutting your thoughts down, if you have a hard time feeling loved even, or even, or you're feeling alone, please reach out to, even reach out to either of us. You can
of course.
find us both on socials and, and through our various, like through this show or through Michael's podcast, but don't sit and isolate. Because you will be met with love. There will be a place where you can go and be welcomed.
Yeah. And
Just,
there are so many times, and I know and I know, and other people know it as well once they think about it.
Mhm.
How many times have you thought, oh man, this person's going to judge me, or this person's going to do this, or this person's going to do that? I can't be vulnerable. The most courageous thing someone can do is just say, hey man, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Hey man, can I talk to you for a minute?
Yep.
It's that action. I'm going to go back to it. It's weird. It keeps coming back to that, right?
Does.
Intentional action. When you do that, again, steer that ship 2 degrees. You end up in Fiji instead of the Bermuda Triangle, if you will. I'm better than me.
Well, what I appreciate though about what you're saying is it is action. It really does. So what if somebody's action, and I'm throwing this out there on purpose because in the not too distant past, it was 2 or 3 in the morning and I texted somebody, hey, are you awake? Like,
No, Cindy, thanks. Jeez.
exactly, right? Yes, I'm right here, which would totally be your response. I know. But when it comes to those actions, what if your action, like seriously, is today I took a bath or a shower and I didn't baby wipe it? You know what I mean? Like seriously, but that's a thing. It could be a thing. Celebrate the freak out of that. Like seriously, and don't cause yourself to feel shame or judgy about yourself. Yay, you got off the couch. Yay, you didn't watch Cobra Kai from the beginning to the end. Well, maybe you did and you ordered pizza and it was fun. But beyond that, right? You didn't go on to the next series. But whatever that little thing is, hey, okay, so you moved your sprinklers off your lawn and stuck them in the shed. Yay, you, right? Because
Yes.
sometimes, and that doesn't even go with veterans. I mean, that could easily just be, I'm a busy family, and we're busy from 5 a.m. till 10 at night, and holy cow, we've walked past that 20 times, yay me.
Right.
But or maybe you actually didn't recycle your underwear and you washed some. Whatever.
Turn them inside out. Got it.
Exactly. Like, okay. But whatever those things are, or you actually cooked and didn't Taco Bell it. Yay.
Yeah.
Or you hung out with your children and you didn't, or you put your phones away during dinner, whatever those little things are, right?
Right. And here's let me go even further if we can, because I love this conversation. We don't celebrate enough. It's the human condition. I don't care if you're a veteran or you're a first responder or whatever, you're a teacher, you're a wife, your husband, whatever you are in this world.
Right.
This is the human condition, right? Our
Mhm.
mind gives us all these negative thoughts to protect us, and we don't offset that with celebrations.
Right.
We don't. So they're stacking. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get in the picture here, right? So if your negatives are coming up more, they're gonna push everything out, and what happens? You explode.
Yep.
Right? What happens if you start stacking? Oh, I got out of bed. Oh, I brushed my teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, I changed my underwear.
What?
Oh, I
I
woke up on the right side of the bed. Whatever the case may be, you push the negatives down, and that's how people thrive.
Right.
Is by being grateful, because every time you think about that and you unstack the bad,
Yep.
it's a fantastic thing. Don't play Jenga with your life.
Yes.
Take control of it and do it every day. This
Yes.
morning, yesterday morning, every morning, I wake up, put a big little smile on my face. What do I get to do today? And that could be good or bad, because guess what? The bad things you learn from.
Yeah. Yeah.
But unstack the bad. Push it down with the good stuff.
100%. Like even things like, I get so excited. Like I wake up literally and I'm like, woohoo, let's go. What are we doing? I mean, I do that, and I get excited
Yeah.
about my day, because guess what? I woke up. I get another day to be here, to love on people, to be loved, to do my thing. And one of the things that I think is so important is that we just lighten up a little bit on ourselves. Like there are so many things. Oh, I should have done that. I should have done that. Oh, well, like your should haves, right? Exactly. Or it's expected or whatever. Guess what? Just I say to that. Just again, every little thing. Oh my gosh, today, what if it's your kids didn't argue on the way to church? Because going to church is typically the best time for everybody to argue and blow up in the car, right? And then you get to church like, oh, praise the Lord,
Put that mask on, everything's wonderful.
right, exactly. But or other things. And here's what's great is when you do that with yourself, then you start to lighten up on your children and your spouse. And then you start to give them a little bit of grace and a little bit of room. And then you can turn those expectations into appreciation. And you can learn to appreciate them instead of just expecting everybody to be psychic and know exactly what you need and when you need it and, all the things, right? And
Which isn't reality.
no, not anywhere, and I think that what I'm loving about this too is this is like real life stuff, and if you don't get something done and you wanted to, okay, just own it. Own the part. Like, so, and when you said about bad things, and for me, when opportunities happen, I used to call them challenges. Now they're just opportunities. And when they happen, I ask God, okay, if I don't already know, because a lot of times it's blaring you in the face, but I ask God, what are you developing in me right now? Like, what is it that we can use this to develop in me? And also I go treasure hunting. If bad things do happen, I start digging for gold. Okay, there's no way there's this big pile here and there's not some gold in it somewhere. Like I guarantee you. And so when you start doing that, your lens is looking for things to be grateful for, things to grow from, things that are blessings, things that are gold. I mean, all of those things. you can always have a lens to look for the poopy things, but
Right.
if you have a lens and you're looking at the gold, guess what happens? More gold comes to you, more beauty, because you're constantly now, you're like a heat-seeking missile of who you can bless, where you can bless, where you're being blessed, and all the amazing, wonderful things that you have that are happening. Stack.
Absolutely love it. Ta-da!
I
And,
know.
and the cool thing is, I mean, look at us, right?
Yeah.
I can't swear.
You can't.
I love it. I love it. And here, I'm going to celebrate it. I just caught myself. So, how many things have we been through? Cindy Gould, I know your story.
Yeah.
You know, I know my story, right? And you look back, and by looking for the blessings and looking for the amazing things, right?
Right.
And stacking the good things.
Right.
And taking the actions.
Right.
Where is our life now?
Right. Like
because of the pressure, we created diamonds, right? I mean, if you're not a diamond lady, I don't know who is.
Thank you. And
You shine like no one else.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? Because of that. No. And not to interrupt. It is because of what you're saying, though. Keep going. It's because of gratitude.
It really is. It really is. And when you find your purpose, and this is one of the main things, again, that I work with veterans and first responders and their families about, is finding that purpose, whatever that means. It brings in all of that gratefulness.
Right.
When I was just working with a veteran of full disabled PTSD.
Wow.
In 2 sessions, 2 meetings, you saw a difference.
Wow.
You saw the softening. You saw her looking to the future. Like that.
Right.
Like that. Oh, got another chill. So when, when you see those kinds of things, and that's just my fulfillment, okay? Everybody's got their success and what success means to them and all of those things. But by doing the things that matter to find that fulfillment, to find that passion, find that purpose, whatever that term is for you, it changes the game.
100%.
And this is what I really work with people on. And I don't want to be your superhero. I want you to be your superhero.
Amen.
I don't want to be, I want to see you turn into that superhero. I'll even tie the cape on for you. I just want to be the guiding light that you see out of the darkness, you see the possibilities.
Yeah.
I want to be the beacon of light so you see the possibilities. Then I want you to take the own light and shine brightly for the rest of your life.
100%.
And that's why I love what I do. And if I hadn't been through the tough stuff, I wouldn't be where I'm at. How many times have you looked back, Cindy Gould, and said, man, if I didn't go through that and I didn't turn it into the positive, no matter how horrible it is, and I know your story, my friend. I know it, and I saw it.
Yep.
And man, if the world didn't have this Cindy Gould, it would be the worst thing in the world.
Oh, Michael, thank you.
How many people have you? Oh, absolutely. How many people have you impacted that I've seen?
Right. Susan
just hears I'm talking to Cindy Gould, and she gets jealous.
I love Susan.
I mean, it's those kinds of challenges, opportunities, whatever you want to call them, that seem like you're in the winter of your life, but spring's come and start planting the seeds, because guess what? In a year and a half, 2 years, how much of our lives changed because we took those little actions.
And the harvest. And what's interesting is, I was born in the spring, and it's funny because even as you were talking earlier, I thought, I wonder if that's why I was born in the spring, because it keeps my focus right on that. And because I think, were you on the homecoming? The day?
Yes, I was on for part of it, unfortunately. I had a client meeting, so.
Oh, that's right. So my thing that I talked about was about planting seeds, seed time and harvest, and about growing. And it's so important to recognize that and to own it. own your story, and then look at your story, and you don't have to believe every stupid thing you think. I mean, it's like, right? Because we believe all this stuff. And so I'll share this. It's, when I grew up, I have 5 brothers. They're amazing. And I have a sister, and but I grew up a very girly girl, like totally, like, you know me, right? So, but I was also a tomboy. I was very much an athlete because I grew up with my brothers. And so I was really good at all the sports and at a lot of things. But I remember I would win every track meet, and I would cross the finish line. I'd hear my parents yelling and screaming when I was like elementary and whatever. I'd see them and my family and all that. And then I'd see all the parents of my friends, and they'd look, and instantly, I didn't know this till I was older, Michael, that it created a fear of success in me. And I didn't know that, because success meant other people were disappointed, or I hurt other people. Now, that was my perception. And then I wise up later, because what I started doing was, Stephen Crawford would say, I was losing to win, because I would get almost to the finish line and I'd slow down so another friend could win. And I did, it was very deliberate. And then what was so interesting is that I couldn't always do it, because I wasn't wired like that. You know what I mean? I was wired to love and, all that, but you know what I mean? It's like, I was like, my family's here. I can't come in second, whatever. So all the time. But here's what happened. I realized as a grown-up, hold on a minute, Cindy. And this was just a few years ago. So I carried this most of my life. But I realized, like, oh, they weren't necessarily disappointed that I won. They were disappointed that your child didn't. Very different frequency, right?
Yeah.
Instantly, it flipped so much inside of me, like, because where that showed up in my life was in relationships. It didn't, I was a wizard at business. I was great in every position I had, everything. I sell, right? And very much probably like you did. But in my relationships, there was evidence of it, Now, I say that to bring it back to our veterans, is that, when they come home and when your families are all remembering each other, we don't have to believe or assume that when he's maybe pulling back a little bit, or your wife is just doing everything, she's so used to it, we don't have to believe what might be going through our head, right? That you're being rejected or whatever.
Yeah, it's super, super important. How many times do we think about something? Let me rephrase that. We think someone else is thinking something.
Right.
And we find out later on, they're like, what? What are you talking about? And here's the crazy thing, Cindy. Here's the absolute nuts thing. How many times has a relationship been damaged for years, and then you find out later on that it was never that way?
Right.
Yeah, because I'm just going to go a little off here, but your thoughts become your reality. They do. So what if you're able to change that and ask yourself, is this real?
Is it really true?
Is it really true? 100% true? What's my proof this is true?
100%. What's my proof?
Yes. And here's the thing. Drop your walls and have a real conversation and communicate.
Yes.
Because how often could that solve it like that?
Be vulnerable and be real. And we have like less than 3 minutes. Thank you, Eric. Cindy is the sparkle of joy. Yes, I love you. He's my other joy friend, right? Our joy friend. We love Eric Stenlake. And I love Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast. I believe that we create at the speed of thought. And that is really how we create our world. We know this. Think, feel, do, have. Where can people find you, my precious friend?
We are everywhere. So let's start off with empowerperformancestrategies.com. Again, empowerperformancestrategies.com. All of our podcast, our trainings, our coaching, all of that stuff is right there at the website. Of course, we are everywhere you're seeing us right now.
Yes.
We're on Instagram and Facebook, multiple places. We have Facebook groups. Come join our Facebook groups.
Yes.
Do not, as Cindy says, sit in isolation. That's where problems start. And unfortunately, for some veterans, that's where they end. So don't.
Yes.
Don't
Okay,
be a
so
statistic.
really quickly, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you so much. I'm so happy that you were here. Thank you, Susan, for lending me your husband for an hour. And you can also find me on the Victory Network on Facebook. Best place. Please reach out and let us know. We love you. Let us love on you. Reach out to Michael, find him, listen to his podcast. You will be uplifted, edified, and encouraged. Again, I thank you so much for having us today. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check us out, spanglishworld.ca, for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, live it, be about it, download it. Thank you so much, and we love you. Merry Christmas, everybody, and happy holidays.
Bye. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.